Reporting from Jacksonville, Florida, where the Jacksonville Jaguars just defeated the New England Patriots 31-20. The Jags were up the entire game with Blake Bortles leading the way with 4 touchdowns. As you can imagine, it wasn't all smiles after the game. Junior Amanda Lorenz got emotional when talking about playing her last game with the 4 seniors. Reporting from the Exact Tech Arena, where the Florida Gator volleyball team and the Georgia Bulldogs were neck and neck the entire match. The Gators will meet back here in a few hours to take on FIU. The Florida Gator volleyball team defeated Mississippi State in just 3 sets. And the Florida baseball team travels to Coral Gables to face the University of Miami in a weekend series. Here's your sports in 60. The number 4 ranked Gator softball team returns to the Diamond Friday. There's been a time change for both games due to the expected bad weather. There's a ton of high school district volleyball tournament matches happening tonight. Today marks one day closer to basketball starting up again. After a promising debut for the Dan Mullen era, the Florida Gators climbed into the national rankings. In 2017, 16-year-old Zach Martin collapsed at the end of a summer football workout. He died of heat stroke.
Because if they had water and ice, it most likely would have saved his life.
Florida currently ranks number 5 in the Corey Stringer Institute rankings for high school safety. They jumped 18 spots higher since last year. But Zach's mom, Lori Giordano, said it still isn't enough.
Their score was still only 62%, which isn't a great score. So being ranked number 5 isn't necessarily something they should be proud of.
The leading cause of death in athletes in Florida is exertional heat stroke, with 2 deaths in the last 4 years. If history repeats itself, the next death could be in 2020.
We would think that the state that leads the country in deaths secondary to heat stroke, which is not a statistic that we want to lead the country in, that those modifications would have been made mandatory, and they were not, unfortunately.
The FHSAA said during a meeting it would be too much of a liability for them to mandate having cold water immersion tubs on the sidelines. Those have a 100% survival rate if used effectively. The FHSAA declined to comment when asked for an interview, but the problem isn't to do with money.
A cold water immersion tub can be a kiddie pool from Walmart. It can be $8, and then ice and water is usually free. So cost is really a non-issue.
And heat stroke doesn't just happen in football. It can happen in non-contact sports as well, like track and field. Gainesville High School football head coach Patrick Miller said it's extremely important to have cold water immersion tubs on any sports sidelines.
Ice baths are good not only for recovery, but also it cools the body down. So when you cool the body down, you help prevent any kind of heat illness or any kind of heat stress. So it's always good to cool the body back down, especially after working.
And to prevent another death like Zach Martin's.
And sometimes it still doesn't seem real to me that he's not going to come home. And it just breaks my heart over and over again.